All right, ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Iowa, what everyone think, huh? As always, mixed reviews on the internet. I thought stage one was pretty good, pretty exciting. Uh, yeah, obviously stage three was a bit of a wreck fest, and not even wreck, just a spin fest. You know, everyone was punting each other. It's like Iowa football. Iowa football, they like to punt. Well, at Iowa Speedway, all the Cup drivers like to punt. So, yeah. But give me a second to tweet all this out and everything there, and I will get ready. And I almost tweeted out the wrong thumbnail. That would have been awkward. But yes, we are going to have our normal Monday activities. We'll go through the results. We'll look at the points. We'll look at some other small things that we didn't talk about last night, including a little confrontation between Carson Hocevar and I believe it was Zane Smith's crew chief, Ryan Bergenti, someone on the 38 team, just in case that is indeed not him. So we'll look at that. We got some baseball to look at. You may think that's really random. It'll make sense here in a minute. We'll do our SVG recap. We'll look at fantasy. We'll look at the entry list and make our Monday picks and look at anything else we need to look at. So, yeah, I'm just making sure this is working. My phone is glitching out here. Yeah, so here we go. All right, it's Monday. Why are you not working? Okay. Well, I'm just going to assume that is working. David, welcome. Pastel Ninja K, welcome. Micah, hello. Good evening. In between the lanes, hello. What's up? Hope everyone's doing well on this fine Monday evening, or could be a Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. Depends on where you are. Could be a Monday afternoon if anyone's in Hawaii, if we want to go off of times. Denver, hello. Doing well. How about yourself? Hope you enjoyed the race yesterday. But all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about Iowa. I mean, we got a lot to talk about, really. I know it wasn't, an all-timer or anything, but a lot happened in that race. Lots of spinning, lots of strategies. We had the Xfinity race was pretty straightforward. We had a couple of moments in it when Zilich spun out his teammate through another teammate. We had flimsy water bottle. We had we had a Haas Factory Team. They finally got their first win. Ford's first win in Xfinity as well this season. I thought that was quite surprising, but then you kind of got to remember that Ford does not have many numbers in the Xfinity series. So Sam Mayer with a big win this weekend. That's back-to-back Iowa wins for him on the Xfinity side of things. Byron finally gets his second win. Zero Apex. Good day. Yeah, in between the lanes, one spot short with Jesse Love. I can't even remember who I picked. I know I didn't pick Hocevar. That was a last-minute addition to the entry list. I think I picked Allgaier. I think I went boring and went with Allgaier. Obviously, that didn't work out too well. Trying to think what else. Yeah, Cup. I picked Logano. That went very wrong. He got a top 10, but I mean, he just nowhere close to winning speed in terms of competitiveness. David, yes, you picked Byron last week, so congratulations to you. You had a Monday pick correct last week. Micah says, I know this might sound repetitive because of Twitter, but the next-gen car needs an overhaul, and NASCAR needs to stop beating around the bush and address the real issue, the car. Yeah, this is obviously, we're to the point, this is the topic at every single short track, and it is frustrating, Micah. I agree with you for sure, but I think the most frustrating part this time is that after Bristol happens, Martinsville Spring, we had the tire fall off. We had a little bit of action, but honestly, it was nowhere near as exciting as Martinsville Fall last year. Martinsville Fall last year was a fantastic race. But Martinsville Spring was nothing spectacular. And then we had Bristol. And Bristol was really bad. That was probably the worst race of the season up to this point. And we're once again sitting here saying the car needs to be overhauled. The short track package needs to be overhauled. We got to do something. We can't keep leaning on Goodyear. And then we show up here. And in between Bristol, which was in April, mid-April, right before Easter, and now, which is now early August, there were talks that, hey, there was going to be changes to the short track package, specifically that there was going to be changes to the short track package and the horsepower, that they were going to up the horsepower a bit. Now, they weren't going to shoot it up to 900 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower, but they were going to do something. They were going to bump it up to, I think we're at 670 now. I think they were talking about bumping it up to 750 maybe, whatever that does. It's more. Well, we had all that talk right after Bristol, and, NASCAR said, yeah, we'll look into it, we'll do it. Like, we talked to the teams, they feel good about it, like, we're in a really good spot with the OEMs. Then there was, 2 months of silence, and then nothing happened. Well, we just had a short, sorry, there's something on my laptop. Go away, fuzz. Anywho, something shiny. Sorry. So we go through all these discussions, hyping it up. Horsepower is going to happen. We get super excited. Then we get to the next short track, Iowa, and nothing has happened. No horsepower was added. No changes to the car. We go to another short track in 2 weeks at Richmond. And don't get me wrong, Richmond over the years has not provided the most exciting racing in terms of short track racing compared to Martinsville or Bristol, but it's still done a solid job over the years of providing good racing. And then we got some short tracks in the playoffs. We got Bristol again. We got Martinsville again. And, we got a couple of tracks that aren't technically short tracks, but they kind of race like short tracks in New Hampshire and, Gateway, kind of. Gateway's an oddball, so I don't even know if we can count that. So Phoenix, it's just a whole frustrating thing. And we're back to this discussion point. We're back to talking about the car again. And I'm tired of it. I know everyone else is tired of it, but if the races at the short tracks keep being meh, if they keep sucking, if they keep being mid, everyone's going to still talk about it. So something's got to be done. We can't keep doing this tiny tweak to the aero. We changed the spoiler a little bit. We changed the splitter a little bit. We put all the pressure on Goodyear. Goodyear, you got to provide a perfect tire. It can't be too hard, but it can't be blowing up every 20 laps. It's unfair to Goodyear. Something's got to happen because, Goodyear got a lot of credit for that fall Martinsville race last year. That was a great race, but ultimately it was overshadowed by the race manipulation. So Goodyear's really not in a good situation either way when NASCAR or when people want to put all this pressure on them. Goodyear's done a fine job, if you ask me. It's the car, guys. It's the car. Klaus NZ, welcome. Hello. How are you doing? Hope everything's going well in New Zealand. Yes, actually, Denver, I meant to put that on one of my tabs because I forgot to do something on it because it happened at 4 a.m. here when that report happened. And I didn't see it till 4 p.m. that day. But there's potentially there's a report, and I gotta say, there's been multiple reports on NASCAR guys going over to do a Supercars one-off. Obviously, the Kyle Busch thing fell through. Larson pulled out of that deal at the last minute. There's the report of Jesse Love going to do the Supercars version of Xfinity. There's been a lot of reports there. So, if Austin Cindric's able to do it, I think that's great. I think that's a cool opportunity. I think that's really exciting. But ultimately, I'm going to wait and see this time. Gotten a little too excited on the last two with Busch and Larson, and then they fall through, and you're sitting here well, that kind of sucks that that's not going to happen. But anyways. Paint schemes at Iowa. Let me think. That's a good question. 23 didn't look too bad. That was a new paint scheme. Who else? Oh, the number one, Chastain, his corn farmers tribute paint scheme kind of thing at Iowa. That was very appropriate. Let me think. Hamlin's new paint scheme's all right. It's new colors, that's for sure. Not the prettiest, but it's new colors. I got to give him that. Let's see. Outside of that, I do like the 12, the Wabash, the navy, and kind of the light blue mix with some yellow in there. I think that's a really good paint scheme. Trying to think. Not a fan of the Raptor scheme still. I mean, this is one of the better Raptor schemes, but still not a fan of Raptor. Exalta is a much better looking paint scheme. Mike Wallace, hello. Mike, man, I think you had a good week in fantasy this week. You had a couple bad weeks there, so Mike, hope you're doing well. We'll get to fantasy here in a minute, but you'd fallen back to 4th in the standings, I think, prior to this week. We'll look at it later. Anywho, yeah, in between the lanes, great point. The Menard scheme, it was weird not seeing a neon Menard scheme, but it looked really good on that 21 car. David T. Harp, hello. But, yeah, I guess those are some of the paint schemes. Just thinking through any of the other ones. I mean, obviously, the Red Bull car always looks cool, whether it's Zilich or SVG. I mean, we're getting back-to-back weeks of Red Bull because Zilich is going to be in the 87 next week. Watkins Glen, and I got a Monday pick you guys aren't ready for. You might be ready for it. The odds are ready for it. You might not be ready for it. The 66 had King of the Hill. Gotta admit, I've never seen that show. I know a lot of people like it, but I thought that was pretty funny. 10 car looked all right. It was a different Seabest car. Yeah. There we go. Denver says, William Byron won the Iowa corn ethanol and Sunoco fueled the car. Yeah. Dude, is anyone else tired of these fake fuel mileage races? The team just yelling, hey, you're short on fuel. Save fuel like your life depends on it. And then they're fine on fuel. Iowa, Indianapolis, Pocono. Where else? I'm forgetting some. Last year, Logano at Vegas and Nashville. Is it really fuel mileage anymore? The only time we've seen someone run out of fuel, ironically enough, has been William Byron, where Byron ran out of fuel. Last week at Indianapolis, I think they were just genuinely short. But then Michigan, he ran out because he had to run out. He had to hold the lead, and he had to push when he didn't want to push. So that case was we all knew he was going to run out of fuel because they were pushing too hard. But then Indy was I guess that was the one time we really saw someone run out of fuel. But Byron's kind of been due for a win here, I would say, because let's go to his stat profile real quick. So Byron, he retook the lead of the points. When we go over to his finishes, the finishes over the summer have not been good. They've not been consistent. Even going back to the late spring in May, 13th at Texas isn't bad, but for their standards, they should do better. 24th at Kansas is bad, straight up. All-Star race doesn't count. Dominated the 600, ultimately fell short. Top 5 at Nashville, but then it kind of hit starting at Michigan. They run out of fuel at Michigan, but they had really good speed. They were up there contending for the win. Top 10 at Mexico, great. Pocono, they had the fastest car in practice. They crash during qualifying, and that sets them back. They never recover. I think they had another issue in that race. Atlanta's Atlanta. You can't really factor that in. Chicago, they have a mechanical failure on lap 2. Sonoma, top 10 day, solid. Dover, they're running top 5 at the end of this race, and they get crashed out on a late race restart. Indianapolis, they're running 3rd or 4th at the end of that race, and they end up running out of fuel. And then Iowa, they finally put it together and win. So as I said, you look at these results since Kansas, this is perfect. Thank you, screen. Cuts off perfectly. Since Kansas, those results have not been pretty statistically. Yeah, you got a runner-up at Charlotte. You got a top 5 at Nashville. Even the top 10s at Sonoma and Mexico aren't bad. But when you have a big points lead and you got a 40 in there, you got a 37, a 27, a 28, a 31, oof, that's going to hurt your points lead. And it did. He lost the points lead for 2 weeks to Chase Elliott. But then they finally put everything together. They had the speed, they put themselves in position, and they didn't run out of fuel. They didn't get wrecked on a late race restart. They didn't have a mechanical failure. Like, everything finally went together. Everything finally went their way, and they capitalized. And we saw what they were capable of. They lead 141 laps. They win the race, pick up 5 precious playoff points, and more importantly to them, they regain the points lead. That's a big deal for them. They have 17 playoff points to their name right now, so that's 2 wins and 7 stage wins. And also, that would be another 15 points if they're able to hang on. And this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to get back to the comments here in a second, because I saw one by Micah that's quite the point, I got to say. I know Larson's technically in contention, Hamlin's technically in contention, but I really think it's down to these two. And ultimately, with 3 races left, I think Elliott's better at Watkins Glen. I think Byron has the slight edge at Richmond. I don't think either of them really excel at Richmond. Like, I think Elliott in the Gen 6 had a couple of good runs, but next gen, I can't think of anything significant he's done. Byron, don't know what he's done there. I mean, that's really been a Toyota track if we think about it. I mean, Truex was always great there. Hamlin's always great there. Even looking at I think Reddick and Bubba did really good there last year. So I mean, Richmond's always been kind of a Toyota track. So I wouldn't expect any of these two to pop. I mean, it's these two, so they could, but you get my point. And then the finale at Daytona, anything could happen. So I think Elliott's got the edge at Watkins Glen, but it's not a huge edge because Byron's a pretty good road racer himself. Once again, I'm going to give Byron the slight edge at Richmond just simply because when it comes to random incidents or random tracks, I saw the word incident in the comments. When it comes to random tracks, I don't know. I just kind of trust the 24 a little bit more in terms of raw speed, if that makes sense. But ultimately, these two are going to put on a heck of a show, I hope, for the regular season. I wish it was a full season, but I don't make the calls. So, anywho. All right, Micah, here's the comment I was talking about. Micah says, is it crazy to say Chase Briscoe Final Four appearance? And Micah, here's where you bring up a great point, because when we look at the history of a driver moving from one team to a new team, and that new team being a championship contender, a championship caliber team every single year, we often see that team kind of, they either pop off and they win a bunch of races and they're a championship contender and they win the championship, or they find a way to win the championship. I'm going to reference 2021 Kyle Larson. Larson shows up to Hendrick year 1, wins 10 races, wins a championship. I think it was 10. Might have been 11. 2014 Kevin Harvick wins 4 races, I think, that year. They make it to the Final Four. They win the championship. Stewart Haas Racing, they're a championship-level organization at the time. May they rest in peace. So that's 2 examples. Trying to think of any other examples. Let me think. Champions over the years. First year at an organization where someone won a championship. Those are the first 2 that come to my mind, really. But Chase Briscoe, for example, I would kind of compare it. Now, look, Larson going to Hendrick, that was a very unique situation because of Larson getting fired and him missing 90% of 2020 and then signing with Hendrick, so having all that time away. Whereas Chase Briscoe spent the entire time at Stewart Haas Racing last year, but kind of comparable in the sense that they're going from what I would say is a B-tier team, a team that's going to run 10th to 20th in the standings for the most part, their cars, if they truly live up to their potential. They may sneak in a win or 2 every single year. They're going to get maybe a couple cars in the playoffs. That was kind of Chip Ganassi racing when Larson was there, with the exception of, I think it was 2017 when Larson won 5 races. Like, outside of that, Larson was good for a win or 2 at Chip Ganassi Racing. He won a race in 2016. As I said, he won 4 in 2017, 5, 4. I think it was 4. 2018, I think he won 1 race. 2019, I think he won 1 race. Like 2020, he only started 3 races, 4 races. So, as I said, doesn't really count. So, like, Chip Ganassi Racing would win a race or 2 every single year. Whether it was Kurt Busch, Larson, McMurray, like, you name it. They were good for a win or 2 every single year. At the end of Stewart Haas Racing's tenure, they were good for 1 to 2 races a year. Chase Briscoe would win. Kevin Harvick would win a race. Like, they were good for 1 to 2 race wins a year. Well, if you look at where Briscoe's gone, he's gone to Joe Gibbs Racing. He's gone to a championship level team. This is a team that wins 10 races a year. Like, that's a massive step up. This is a team that expects to not even, only win the championship every year, to have multiple cars in the Final Four every year. So for Briscoe to be joining that, but the difference obviously is that Briscoe hasn't quite popped off like Larson did in 2021 when he won 5 regular season races, 5 postseason races. Like, Briscoe's only got 1 win to his name at this point, but I will say they're 8th in the points, which isn't bad. They have 9 top 5s. They have 6 freaking poles this year out of nowhere. He's prime Ryan Newman. No one saw that coming, but they've led 307 laps. They've won a couple of stages. It's like, they've been good. It's just they haven't been able to piece a bunch of races together. But if they start to get hot, if they start to string things together, they start to figure things out. I mean, I'm very curious to see how Briscoe's going to do in the Southern 500, just because that's a track he's so good at. That's a track that Joe Gibbs Racing's had success at. He didn't really run great there in spring. I can't remember what happened to him there, but I mean, going through his results recently, okay, Atlanta crash, Chicago, don't remember what happened there. Indy, they won stage 1. They led a bunch of laps there. But runner-up at Iowa, runner-up at Dover, runner-up at Sonoma, the win at Pocono, top 10 at Mexico, 3rd at Charlotte. Like, they've had pretty good runs, even going back to Kansas with the top 5. So they've been good at a variety of tracks, short track at Bristol, road course at Sonoma, intermediate, short tracks. Like, they've been good almost everywhere. Super Speedways. What's he done in the Super Speedways? 15th at Talladega. Okay. Atlanta, 25. Top 5 at Daytona. Hey, you never know. But it's a curious case, what Micah brought up. Could Briscoe be a Final Four contender? You know what, Micah, you brought it up. So we're making our announcement, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for an announcement. I've been saying ladies and gentlemen a lot recently. I really don't know why. But anywho, it's time to make an announcement. You know what time it is? I phrased that horribly. This is going horribly wrong. It's going just awful. I don't know how to make announcements, but basically, it's August. So we're getting close to the playoffs. I may not be a fan of the playoffs, but man, I do like to capitalize on getting some viewership. Okay, it's a joke, ha ha ha. But for real, every single year since 2018, 2019, we do a series where in this series, we break down each driver's chance to win the championship. So right now we have 13, 14, 12, however many guys. I could just simply click a picture here. We have 13 guys locked into the playoffs. So over the next couple of weeks, I am going to give a championship case for the 13 guys locked into the playoffs. That is right. Championship cases are back. For these first couple of races, or these first couple of weeks, I should say, not these first couple of races. For these first couple of weeks, we do it based off the playoff point standings, and then that's how we kind of get some out of the way. And then when those last 3 to 4 playoff spots are filled out at Daytona, that kind of takes the stress off where I'm not doing 3 a day. Because the first couple of years I did this, I was doing like 3 a day the week of, like just panicking myself. So this week we're going to start at the championship cases. We're going to do 1 a day leading up to Daytona. So tomorrow is the first one, Denny Hamlin, as you can see here. I already got the thumbnails made. So Denny Hamlin, no, click. Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Okay, Denny Hamlin's the first one. Denny Hamlin will be tomorrow. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about Kyle Larson and his championship cases. On Thursday, we're going to talk Christopher Bell and his championship case and his championship chances. And then Friday, Harrison Burton was a tough one last year. I don't think it's going to be as tough as Harrison Burton, but it's going to be a tough one. Shane Van Gisbergen. It's currently, as you see here, on the playoff grid. He is 4th. So we're doing him 4th. So championship cases are back while your driver will win the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. We're going to go order of these precious playoff points at the moment. So we're going to have Denny tomorrow. We're going to have Larson on Wednesday, Bell on Thursday, SVG Friday. And if this stays the same, I'm going to announce each schedule week by week. So we got through the rest of this week, we got SVG. And it's leading up to a road course. So that's like perfect. Great. Awesome. And then next week, however these stand after this, so like if this was after Watkins Glen and we've already completed those 4, it would be Byron, Elliott, Blaney, Briscoe, Bubba. Like those would be the 5 next ones. So championship cases are coming up for the 2025 edition. And once again, these are not predictions. We do a championship case for every driver. So before people yell at me in the comments like they do every single year, it's not a prediction. Now, one of these guys I have to predict the win of the championship. But it's not all of them. No offense, I'm not picking Shane Van Gisbergen to win the championship. Probably not going to pick Josh Berry to win the championship. Let's just be real here. But hey, someone else up here, if you know my tradition, you already know my championship pick. Anyways, let's get back to the comments. I've gotten very sidetracked here, but I'm very excited to bring that series back. It seems to be something you guys like every year, so I'm going to keep doing it until I guess I don't feel like it. Born Again Briar, hello, welcome. Yeah, it's Jeff Gordon's birthday. This is the day we got my dog, 12 years ago. Rest in peace. Yeah, it has been 30 years since Gordon's first championship, 1995. Yeah, Born Again Briar. Though that Harrison Burton championship case video last year, I can't speak today. That was a tough one. I mean, ultimately, he didn't get out of the first round like we all anticipated, but having to make the championship case for that last year when they were running 34th in points, that was tough. That was a difficult one. And the SVG one, it's like it's going to be tough not because they just cracked the top 25 in the points for the first time this year. They're starting to figure it out on ovals, and we know how good he is on road courses. It's just that ultimately it's the first round. The first round for him this is just brutal. Darlington's good for him. He's good there. But then we got never been here, and he was bad at Bristol in the spring, so but if he can get out of that, he's got the Roval in the second round, intermediate there in the third round, and 2 weeks after Kansas, which is kind of similar, so he's got that going for him. Super Speedway, things happen at Super Speedways. In Martinsville, where he finished 12th last year, Phoenix, miracles happen. Like, I basically just did the SVG championship case right there. Anywho, sorry. Yeah, we got sidetracked. We'll get to the SVG recap here in a bit, speaking of. We'll get to Watkins Glen in a bit, guys. We'll get to Watkins Glen in a bit. Marty, I can confirm SVG is the favorite in the odds. Like, by a lot. Like, Formula 1 level odds, he's like plus 145. F1 odds. Dude, Zilich is second in the odds. So, our top 2 in the odds for a NASCAR race are a guy who got bored in Australia and decided to come over to NASCAR. This is a very simplified, a very kind of generic version of it. A guy who got bored over in Supercars and wanted different scenery, decided to pop over to NASCAR for a bit. And then second in the odds is a 19-year-old. Like, not even 19 in like 11 months. 19 in like 11 days. Like, it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, Todd Gilliland. I picked him to make the playoffs this year. I thought he was going to be kind of our upset winner heading into the year. Really good super speedway racer. He's had some good results, but ultimately right now, I mean, he's being outrun by his team. I think front row's just been disappointing this year. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to make the playoffs, like with multiple cars, run top 15 in the standings, but with that new Tier 1 status or whatever, I was expecting him to be like Todd Gilliland, maybe about here in the points, 16th to 18th. Zane Smith, maybe 21st to 24th, and Gregson probably 25th, 26th. Like, that's how I thought that was going to shake out. But their best car right now is 27th. Todd is 30th, and Gregson's 34th. Like, it's been disappointing, I'd say, all across the board for front row, in my opinion. But ultimately, yeah, Todd Gilliland, I thought he was going to be, and like he hasn't had a horrific season. Like, he's had a couple good runs. He's had 3 top tens. They've done decent, and the top tens haven't been all super speedways. Martinsville, that's a really good top 10. Dakota, that's a really good top 10. And then Indy, like it's been 3 difficult tracks. It's just things haven't gone their way this season. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but hey, you live and you learn. What are your thoughts on the Larson Elliott? Dude, I didn't even talk about that last time. I forgot. So yeah, Larson and Elliott, they had a little bit of a run, 2 run-ins, and it wasn't. So here's the thing. Do you guys remember in 2021 when Larson and Elliott finished 1-2 like 15 times, and then 2022 went down and Larson walled Elliott at Auto Club, and then Larson ran Elliott wide on a restart at Watkins Glen, and we were all like prepped for this to be like the next great rivalry. We were prepped for Larson and Elliott to like be a weekly thing, for it to come to blows like maybe twice a year, and it was going to blow up and it was going to turn into like a 2014 Mercedes kind of thing, or 2016 Mercedes, whenever that whole deal went down. We've like yet to see that 2022 spark since, until yesterday, and it was for like 8th place. So I don't think there's anything to it. I think that was just a racing deal. I think that was just, it was so hard to pass. Everyone had to use the restarts as a crazy kind of moment to try to take advantage, and Elliott and Larson twice tried to fill a gap that only one of them could fit in, and I don't think it's gonna escalate to anything because they both run very different races. Like, you'll see Larson go out and lead 200 laps and win a race. Elliott will just kind of run 6th all day, but then every once in a while, Elliott runs in the top 5 all day, and Larson, he runs up in the top 5, then he falls to like 10th, then he comes back, or then he wrecks himself. Like, they both run extremely different races, so it's odd, it's unpredictable, like, you don't know. I don't think it's going to turn into anything. Like, if this was 2022, I would be freaking out right now and be like, this is it. Like, they're going to wreck each other. They're going to take each other out. It's going to be a big deal. But I don't have that 2022 feeling with these two after that. So, I mean, it could happen. It's bound to happen that those two are battling for a win and something could happen. But I don't have strong feelings about it right now, I would say. I mean, yeah, ultimately, that's how I feel about it. Micah, I got to admit, Micah, I'm going to hedge my bet there, because let's go into fantasy here. There's the 36 for 36 challenge, in which I have 2 wins this season, which one of them, ironically, is Kyle Larson. So the 36 for 36, I picked Priest this week. He got me a lot of points. Ultimately, I don't care about the points. I just want to win. But sometimes it goes wrong. I have been saving SVG for Watkins Glen for the whole Watkins Glen redemption story. You'll see if I pick him in my Monday picks. But I've got 2 wins. I picked Briscoe at Pocono. That went swell, just as I predicted. I picked Byron for the 600, and it looks like he did, but, that was the 600, and he came so close. That would have been nice. And then the other one I got, I've told you guys, I missed these 2 because I was at the races. I was traveling. And then I picked Larson at Homestead. So I got 2 wins, but I feel like I do a decent job on points. Okay, Super Speedway. All right, I whiffed on Brad at Phoenix. I'll give you that much. Bubba at Vegas. Okay, that went wrong. Elliott at Martinsville got me. Yeah, he finished 3rd in that race, I think. McDowell, I think that was Talladega. Gibbs, what was after Talladega? Kansas, maybe? I don't know. Kyle Busch. All right, I don't even know where we are on the schedule. Reddick, I picked at Nashville, maybe. Hocevar, I picked at Michigan. That went wrong. Suarez, I picked at Mexico. That went wrong. Todd, I picked at Atlanta. That went wrong. Busher, I picked at Chicago. That went wrong. Chastain, Sonoma. Stenhouse, whatever was after Sonoma. Denny, the Brickyard, and Priest. So Yeah. I Micah, I went through this whole side tangent about me like intentionally picking where I'm putting guys at these certain races and why I picked them and how I picked them. I'm saving Cody Ware for Daytona. That was the whole point of me going all the way over here, going all the way back to the Daytona 500. I have been saving Cody Ware for the Daytona 400 because Cody Ware always top 10s in that race. He always avoids the carnage. That race always ends up being the most wrecked up race out of all of the super speedways because everyone's fighting for a playoff spot. So Cody Ware just kind of sneaks in the top 10. So even if Cody Ware doesn't win, he's going to get me a good chunk of points. That's the whole objective, and realistically, that's his best shot at the win. So when we come down here, if it even shows me who I have left, it doesn't. Yeah, I've been saving Cody Ware. That's the whole point of me going on that whole side tangent. Let's look at the fantasy points, shall we? All right. I'm still 14th in the points. Are you serious? Okay. Oh, David Jerry 24 fan contributing to the internet chat. Cool. What's up, David Jerry? Let's go to the race results. So Dan the Jets fan, our defending champion, picks up a win. Another win. I think it's 3 or 4. We went through all the race results last week. We don't need to do that again. Expat _ Kiwi _ Mike _ Wallace. He is back with another podium. I got a top 10. That's 3 straight top 10s for me. I'm on fire. Let me tell you, I'm going for that Joey Logano 2024 championship. Just sitting 14th in the points all year, show up when it matters in the playoffs, and bam, I'm the champion. I'm going to rig it for myself. Not really. It's not that deep. Dunkin' Donuts is our points leader. Now has a 51-point gap over Klaus Van Gissenbergen. Expat _ Kiwi _ Mike _ Wallace is in 3rd. Dan the Jets fan is in 4th. Our defending champion, who is down in like 10th in the standings, 9th in the standings, is now moving up. Could you imagine if Dan the Jets fan goes from 10th to championship this year? Be a heck of a story. Zerkman 95, Matt Smith 53, Fantastic Priest, RT Racing, Aussie Matt, and Tyler Hernandez 6. That is our top 10. Zero Apex, Hell on Wheels 24, Micah MLB 15. The championship comeback is on for me in 14th. I'm almost 200 points behind of 13th. The comeback's on though. Oscar Dave, Crackler, Dr. Zero, Jamie, who by the way is a lifelong Logano fan, Nee, David Jerry 24 fan, Sportswagon, Hack Dash House, Tritech, Supercar Nut, Space Wrangler Racing, JTF526, Rebutted, and all these people who have still not put in their entries. Be ashamed. I'm just kidding. It's not that deep. Don't actually be ashamed. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Anywho, that's our fantasy standings. I know who, dude, my lineup this week. Oh, yeah. Just give me the guys who need the points. So I guess that's Priest. Give me Priest. Give me SVG. Give me Zilich. Give me McDowell, give me Allmendinger, and Elliott. If Elliott qualifies in the top 5 and everyone pits, he's taking that playoff point. That's my starting lineup right there. Bam. Done. Don't even need to think about it. I'm so comfortable with it. It's probably going to be the week where everything goes back to going wrong, but I'm on a 3-week top 10 streak. Nothing can stop me now. Yeah. Yeah, Micah, you are... Yeah. Only 1 whole point. You know, if you take... Oh, wait, no, you can't do that. I thought you guys were 11th and 12th. I was going to say if you take the first letter off or number off, then bam, you have a championship fight. But that's... You guys are 12th and 13th, so my bad. You're fighting for 2nd and 3rd, even if you did that. What else do we need to talk about? Born Again Brian, I can put the link for you. How about that? Fantasy League. No, I don't want the roster. I want the league. You can join there. Lindsay, welcome. It's a valid question. What driver would sit at your lunch table? I don't know. God, I don't know. I think it'd be more fun if it was random. If you like just went through the standings and you just did this, like, and just hovered. Chris Busher, okay, yeah, we're both from Texas. We got that going for us. I'm gonna limit it to 3. Who is this? Went too far. Oops. Too far again. Okay. Joey Logano. Oh my God. Yeah. I think Logano off the track. I think he's pretty funny. His interviews and stuff, I think he's great. So I think that'd be a fun conversation. Get Bush and Logano together. And the last one will be Josh Berry. Yeah, that could be fun too. I'm sure he's got some great stories. So there you go. There's 3. Marty would pick Christopher Bell. Oh, yes. Let's talk about the Truck Series, because what in the world? The Truck Series just, like, kind of went crazy in the last week. And, like, look, Stuart Friesen got hurt. It's really bad. It's really unfortunate. We are all hoping that he gets fully recovered. But in a week's time, we had Stuart Friesen get hurt. He's probably out for the season. So now the 52 truck is fighting for an owner's championship but needs a new driver. Caden Honeycutt gets released when he's in the playoffs right now, by the way. Not just like barely in. He's a solid 73 points in. It would take 2 new winners for him to get out, honestly. If you get 1 new winner, you know, that makes it a little tight. But he's been running so well this year. So now all of a sudden, Caden Honeycutt is like out of a ride, and the 45 truck's fighting for the owner's championship with a different dude. I don't even know, but all of a sudden, the Truck Series championship battle has just blown up. Stuart Friesen presumably out of it. Caden Honeycutt. It all comes down to if he finds a ride for the next 2 weeks, he's good to go. If he doesn't, well, all of a sudden, the playoff cutoff line shifts in the other way. So now Jake Garcia is in? Like, wait, time out. So if Friesen's out, if Honeycutt somehow is out, does that mean Jake Garcia and Ben Rhodes is 77 points out and is going to make it? Is that what we're seeing here? Is that really how this is going to go down? Dude, what in the world? Hold on. All right. So, yeah. The Truck Series playoff bubble. Like, this isn't even it. At this point, we're not even looking at the bubble right now. Because Friesen's probably out of it. Honeycutt may be out of it. He might not be out of it. What if Gio Ruggiero wins? What if Tanner Gray wins? I don't know. What if Matt Crafton pulls out a random race from his prime and he wins? Oh, my Lord. What else? Oh, my goodness. Did you guys see post-race? You see what went down with Hocevar and the crew chief of the 38? I think it was the 38. So Steven Stumpf here reports the races for Front Stretch. And he's on pit road. He's doing a post-race interview with Hocevar. And someone with the 38 team goes up and approaches. And can you see this? Can you actually see that? Okay, you can see that. That's good. So there's a confrontation. Words are said. You can read. Bad words are there. Here's the actual confrontation. I'm going to turn on the volume here. Hello. Oh, okay. So here we go.
You had a fast car all day. Just talk about your race.
Yeah, I felt like our car was pretty good. Just kind of stretchy. I don't know if anybody could have predicted how this race works. So it was a solid day.
Hey, when are you gonna learn how to fuck race, dude? Wipe us the fuck out. Carson Hocevar comes from 8th.
Woof. If you told me there was a post-race confrontation with Hocevar, I mean, he's kind of due. I mean, I know he had that whole conversation with Chastain and whatever, and there was if we go through the list, I mean, the list is forever. I mean, heck, Shane Van Gisbergen's on the list now. I don't know if he's really that mad. We'll go through it in the SVG recap, but point being, like he's kind of due for a confrontation of some sort, like a real confrontation, but I would have never guessed an opposing team's crew member. And look, the crew members, they work really hard on that car. They put in a lot of hours, put in a lot of work, like physical work. So, like, for them to be the most mad, honestly, that kind of makes sense when you think about it because of how much effort, blood, sweat, and tears they literally put into the cars every single week. But I'm just saying it's more of a surprise that Carson Hocevar finally got confronted in, like, a true confrontational way, and it's another team's crew chief? Okay. Like, I don't know. And then Hocevar on Instagram, someone had to point this out to me. He posts on the Instagram. I gotta say, I'm horrible at checking Instagram, so my bad. I literally don't even have the app. I get on my laptop like this. And he posts these pictures, and that's a picture of him. Okay, great, cool, awesome. And then he posts this, which is in regards to the 38 car, which is please take a number. It's like when you go to the DMV and you got to take a number because there's 40,000 people in line waiting to get their driver's license renewed. Well, this is kind of a message, I guess, to the 38 team. Please take a number. You are one of many people in line. Blaney, Chastain, Stenhouse. You're next, I guess. That's just a basic picture video. Dirt racing. Don't know what that's all about. There's that. There's this. And then he's posting the video of I guess it's the 38 car trying to intentionally wreck him. Like, look at this. Just and he makes a reference to this. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. So interesting. Instagram. Is it Instagramming? Instagrammed? Insta? Whatever. Just very interesting. That's all I'll say. Yep. Are Matt Crafton and Ben Rhodes NASCAR Hall of Famers? That's a good question that I do not know. Crafton's been racing forever. He's got 20-something truck wins. He's got 3 titles. That's got to at least put him in consideration. I'd probably lean yes for Crafton because he has 3 championships. Rhodes is tough because he's still in the middle of his career. He can still achieve a bunch more. He's got, 10 wins and 2 championships? Give me a second. Before I start, just spewing nonsense out, let's look at his career statistics. So, Ben Rhodes, 2-time Truck Series champion. Currently out of the playoffs by 77 whole point. It's loading. Gotta give it a second. Oh, it loaded. Perfect. Awesome. Great. Here we go. Okay. All right, so Ben Rhodes, he has a Cup Series start, according to this. I did not know that. Cool. Was unaware of that. 10 Xfinity starts. Not much there, a couple top 10s. And now we go to his Truck Series statistics. 7 career wins, 2 championships. That's over 226 starts. As of today, no, I would say. Who was it that asked that? Lindsay. As of today, no. But that could change. You know, he could go win a bunch more. He could go to Xfinity and win some races, win a championship. So I don't know. I don't know. I would lean no on Rhodes. I'd lean yes on Crafton. Anti-Waffles says that pancakes are better. So funny. Did we get through everything? Okay, I need to do the SVG recap. Give me a second, guys. Or really give me 10 to 15 minutes. We're doing our weekly SVG recap. Reviewing the notes here. Kind of just overdo it. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll be back. We're doing this. We'll cut it into a video. Shane Van Gisbergen recap. The Aussies and the Kiwis appreciate it. So we're going to keep doing it. But smart. We're good to go. All right. So just give me a few minutes, guys. I should probably go to the tweet first. Punting is winning. That's a phrase that can be used in multiple sets of context in Iowa. You got Iowa football. You're probably wondering why we're talking about Iowa football. Well, the American University of Iowa, they are known for their cornfields. Yes, not only the university, the entire state of Iowa is known for its cornfields, but the University of Iowa football team, the American football team, is known for punting. The objective of a football game is to score touchdowns and field goals. Iowa football has a different idea. They have this theory. This is not actually a theory. I'm just spewing off nonsense about Iowa football. But they don't score a lot of points. They win games super ugly. They win it like 7-3. And the way they score 7 is not through a touchdown and an extra point. It's through 2 safeties and a field goal. Like just disgusting stuff. Like just true sicko behavior. That's Iowa football. So they love punting. Punting is winning for Iowa football. Well, in Iowa this past Sunday, in the NASCAR Cup Series, punting was winning because a lot of people got punted in this race. We had a lot of cautions in Stage 3. Look at the caution charts. So as a result, Shane Van Gisbergen, he spun himself once, and he acknowledges this in the tweet, but he also got spun out himself. He was one of the puntees rather than the punters. So let's start off with the tweet after this little rambling about Iowa football. Damn it, we had decent speed today, but I made a mistake and spun. We recovered pretty decent, but then got turned around. Bad word happens. It's not a great result, but there was a lot of positives too. No emoji. So take with that what you will. All right, let's get on to the actual racing of this thing. I've talked about nonsense not long enough. As I said, Iowa, land of the corn. Punting. Punting is winning. Well, Iowa Speedway is a 0.875 mile short track, which is equivalent to 1.41 kilometers in the middle of Iowa. Newton, Iowa. Don't even know what major city it's close to. Des Moines is the only city I know in Iowa. I guess Iowa City's also there. Cedar Rapids. We're not here for Iowa geography. 12 to 14 degrees of bankings in the turn. 10 degrees of banking on the front stretch. It is a D-shaped oval, technically. But SVG at Iowa, I'm telling you, he probably hates Iowa, truly. If you remember back to his Xfinity Series days all that year ago, he crashed in Xfinity practice, and then he crashed in the race. 2 crashes, 2 cars torn up, a DNF, just really bad weekend. So coming here to Iowa, practice goes well. He keeps it clean, qualifies 21st, keeps the car clean. Well, then, as I said, 2 incidents in this race. Well, it very quickly, there was an issue. On lap 4, he reported that his brake bias adjuster was broken, that it was not operated, not working, so that's a problem. He was running 20th at this point. He got as high as 19th in that first run. That first stage, he ran 19th to 21st the entire time. He was able to continue to run without, I think it's a knob in there maybe. There's also something that Steven Duran, he brought up. There's something on the dash that he can do to mess with the brake biases, something like that. Well, they asked him how the car felt on around lap 29, and he said that it fired off hot. He had to, kind of back down, cool the car down, cool the tires down so they didn't blow the tires off of it. And he said that it was a bit tight, but pretty good though. So that's good. He said the car felt pretty good though. Later in the stage, he said that the car was too tight. They ended up finishing stage 1 in 21st. That second run, though, at the beginning of stage 2, he said that the car was way too tight, that it was tighter than that first run, or if we're comparing it to that first run, so got to go backwards on the adjustments a little bit. And then Josh Williams got on the radio at one point, and this is a NASCAR issue right now, that the short tracks are extremely difficult to pass on because everyone runs the same speed. Aerodynamics, it makes it super difficult to pass. And then the short tracks, which are NASCAR's bread and butter historically, they've kind of stunk these last few years with the next-gen cars, with a couple, 2-3 races of exception. So NASCAR's bread and butter, the short tracks, it's extremely difficult to pass. The aerodynamics play a huge factor. If you don't have track position, it hurts a lot, because Williams came on the radio and he said, seems like we're ripping, just all the same speed. And he was running 23rd at the time, but Williams referenced that he was running top 3 lap speed. So 23rd on the track, but the lap speed's pretty darn good. Lap 141, the pit cycle began, and this is where we kind of saw a lot of different strategies, and this ended up being a strategy race out of anything. We saw some guys pit really early, like at about the halfway point of the stage. It was a 140-lap stage, so on lap 70, people were pitting. But we also saw guys that they anticipated going till about 115 of the stage, running the car out of gas, essentially, and that was going to be their only stop, and then they would stay out at the beginning of stage 3 to kind of flip the strategy in a sense. So we had a lot of different strategies, some guys pitting on lap 70, some on lap 80. Well, I got to admit, I should have written down what lap number this was for the stage, because on lap 165 of the race, they came over the radio and said, hey, we're pitting in 25 laps. And I think this was around a little bit after when the actual cycle went down. Yeah, I wrote it down. So 24 laps after. So they were planning on going late into this stage. On lap 152, he had said that it was really tight. He said, I don't know. When they asked him what adjustments he needed, he just said it's really tight and that it was a bad word box. You can put the math together there. So on lap 165, once again, they told him we're about 25 laps from pitting. 4 laps later, he spins himself out. They were running 8th because a lot of guys had pitted at this point. So they had moved up to 8th, but they had not yet pitted. They were 23rd at the beginning of the cycle. Spins out, hits the wall with the left rear. I got to admit, the left rear didn't look like, it wasn't, day ending. It wasn't race ending. They weren't going to DNF. They weren't going to finish this race 200 laps down, but it looked like enough damage that they were going to have to work on it for a few laps, go 6 or 7 laps down, run 33rd the rest of the day, and that's that. But surprisingly, no. I was very wrong on this. They actually called the left rear damage mostly cosmetic. Steven Duran said it looks pretty good, like nothing too big to be concerned about, and they only go 1 lap down. So you go one lap down. You guys, if you've been watching NASCAR for a while, you know how the lucky dog works. If you are the first car one lap down and a caution comes out and you do not cause that caution, you get your lap back for free. However, if you're the second car, third car a lap down and there's a caution and you don't get the lucky dog, you can potentially get the wave around, but it depends on what the lead lap cars do. So if you're fourth in line behind the caution car and the top three are lead lap cars and they pit, then you can take the wave around. But if only one of them pits, then you're pinned a lap down. So they restart one lap down, and then ultimately there's a quick caution. He says there was a little bit of a brake shake. Then they restart again. They're running 34th at this point. And then coming down to the end of the stage, he's one of the few cars one lap down, and it comes down to a late stage restart, a 2-lap shootout for the stage. He tried to bump and run Todd Gilliland to get that lucky dog to get back on the lead lap, and he executed the move to perfection. He got to the line first. The problem is that in NASCAR, when the 10th place car crosses the start-finish line for a stage, the caution comes out. So SVG running 33rd, 34th, whatever it was, he made a great move. It was a textbook bump and run. Ultimately, it didn't matter because the caution had come out by the time he had passed Gilliland. But if that was for the race win and it was first one to the line, he would have done perfect. So he's learning NASCAR, but ultimately this move, it did not work at the time. They finished stage 2 and 31st, and then, oh my goodness. When I said punting is winning at the beginning of this thing, this is where all the punting came in. This is when people started wiping each other out, spinning each other out. Once again, look at the caution chart. How many cautions is that? 8, 9 cautions in the span of like 10 minutes, it felt like. Woof. It was ridiculous. It was absurd. It was not fun to watch. However, on that first caution of 7 or 8, SVG got the lucky dog. He got his lap back, and he was able to be back on the lead lap, and they had decent competitive speed, so a competitive finish is back in the possibility of things. So they restart 31st, caution. Restart 29th, caution. Restart 25th, caution. Restart 18th, caution. Another caution. There were so many cautions, guys. It was ridiculous. It was absurd. I did not have fun watching all these cautions. But with 98 laps to go, and Aussies and Kiwis, I gotta admit, I'm not too familiar with your terminology, so you gotta tell me, on a scale of hell to the F word, how bad is this word that I'm about to say? I know it's not a nice word, but I'm trying to figure out, like, can I say it? SVG gets on the radio, so what happens is, he's racing Joey Logano for position, and Carson Hocevar, let me pull up the list of people that are mad at Carson Hocevar for something that happened on track. A lot of people. It's a lot of people that are mad at Hocevar. We got Ryan Blaney, who was mad at him in Atlanta earlier this year. Chastain was mad at him earlier this year. Stenhouse has been mad at him twice this year. The 38 crew chief confronted Carson Hocevar after this race. Carson Hocevar has made a lot of people upset on the track this year. Well, add Shane Van Gisbergen to the list because Carson Hocevar made it 3 wide, made a little bit of contact with the 88. The 88 then made contact with the 22, and the 22 kind of got shipped up the racetrack. SVG got on the radio and said, hey, can you go please apologize to the 22 because... And he referenced that wanker in the 77 car forced me into him. So, once again, where does the word wanker fit on that scale? From hell to the F word. Where are we fitting that in this scale? Help me out a little bit. Did I just say like a really bad word? Do I need to bleep this in the future? Obviously, this video is posted now, so I guess I should have thought this through. Anywho. SVG called Hocevar a mean name for shipping him into Logano. Anywho, the following restart, SVG is 16th. He's spun out. He's gone a lap down. He's been running in the 30s. He's made his way back up through the field, back up into the top 20. He's got decent pace. Can he turn this into his first oval top 10? Kyle Busch dumps him. Kyle Busch just kind of dumps him. It wasn't intentional or anything. It wasn't like a screw you, like I'm just gonna hook a right. Like it was just a mistake on Kyle Busch's part, but he punted him. He punted him. He dumped him, punted him, whatever negative word. Kyle Busch got on the radio. He said, "My bad. S don't turn." Kyle Busch was having an ill-handling race car. They're back there in the teens where the cars handle awful. But ultimately, he kind of ruined SVG's day. So that sucks for Shane Van Gisbergen. But once again, like, there's nothing SVG could have done there. He gave him plenty of space. He was running on the outside. And Kyle Busch just messed up. No other way to put it. Ultimately, they go back a lap down. This one had a little bit more damage to it, and they never recovered. They end up finishing 31st in this race. SVG, despite finishing 31st, somehow, some way, found a way to move up in the point standings. He moves up into the top 25 of the NASCAR Cup Series points for the first time in his career. Once again, he scored 6 whole points on this day. Somehow found a way to move up in the points. So, yeah. Watkins Glen's next week. Obviously, Shane Van Gisbergen, a heavy favorite there in the odds. Looking for some redemption after what happened in the Cup race last year where he blew it in the bus stop chicane against Chris Buescher. So, Shane Van Gisbergen has an opportunity at his 4th win of the season next week at Watkins Glen, a road course, and then it's back to the ovals for a bit, and only one more road course after that. But then we got his playoffs to talk about. By the way, time for some self-promotion, ladies and gentlemen. Every single season, I do a championship case for all 16 playoff drivers. Well, Shane Van Gisbergen is currently 4th on the playoff grid. I start this process early to kind of get ahead of the curve, to get ahead of everything else, so I don't have to do 16 in 1 week after Daytona. So anticipate this video. Don't anticipate it. It will be out on Friday. On Friday, I will give you the why Shane Van Gisbergen will win the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. It is not a prediction. I do this for all 16. So, anyhow, thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I got a live stream I got to get back to. Cool. All right. Thank you guys for letting me do that. I do that every week. So I really do appreciate you guys letting me do that because it's so difficult enough doing the race recap Sunday night, getting all that footage together, doing the editing together, burning the battery on everything technology-wise, and then having to charge it back up, potentially. And here's the bad thing about it. Or not the bad thing. The difficult part about it would be I'd have to go watch the race that night. I'd be done at like 3 a.m. So it's better for me to just spend my entire Monday doing the race rewatch, taking notes, and then doing it here. So I appreciate you guys letting me do that every Monday night. Okay. Hello, Brendan. Brendan says Kyle Busch is coming. Brendan, I wouldn't. If you're a Shane Van Gisbergen fan, I wouldn't take it that personally. It happens in NASCAR. You're going really fast. These ovals, you're always a high speed. Things happen in a split second, and sometimes the car snaps on you, and the only way to save it is unfortunately ruining someone else's day. Now, it may come back to bite you, like Hocevar. He's had a lot of things happen to him this year. It's probably going to come back to bite him at some point. Maybe not next week, maybe not next month, but maybe sometime this year, next year. You never know. So, ultimately, yeah, I don't think it's that deep. Like, they're now, if this happened like every week with Kyle Busch and you're a Shane Van Gisbergen, I guess fan, you could be really mad at Kyle Busch, but ultimately, it's just an incident. All right, we're getting some ratings on the word wanker. All right, so that's what we call our mates. It's just above hell. Okay, I don't think I have to bleep myself out. It's the equivalent of being called an idiot. I mean, yeah, I understand what the general meaning is. I'm just trying to figure it out on the scale of how bad is this word. Hello, Michael. Just below the C word. Ooh. Wait, hold on. No. Okay, I got it. I think I know. which isn't that bad this side of the world. Okay, so I'm good. I don't need to bleep that in the video. Cool. Michael, I think a top 5 is extremely optimistic. I would say even a top 10 was optimistic. Something I didn't mention there that I probably should have mentioned is that there were 1,000 different strategies going on in that race. And so ultimately, it's tough to see where that strategy, whatever strategy they were on, was going to play out. Theoretically, they could have. Yeah, I think he could have gotten his first oval top 10, maybe. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I think a top 20 for sure. They keep running how they're running. They stay incident-free. 17th, 18th. Best oval finish this year for them is a 14th. They could have maybe gotten that high, but I think top 5 is a bit of a stretch. But top 10 maybe. But yeah, still looking for that first top 10. That first oval top 10, I should say, in the Cup Series for SVG. What are my thoughts on Caden Honeycutt getting released? I did not anticipate that news this morning. That was very random. Very out of nowhere. And like looking, I think I said this in the video, when you look at the Josh Williams situation, Williams hadn't been running that good. They had no top 5s together. It's colleague racing. I'm like, okay, it just simply didn't work out. And it seemed like they didn't want to waste each other's time. Well, Caden Honeycutt's like well in the playoffs. Like he's plus 73. What is it? 73. He's 6th in the points. He's led some laps. He's got 9 top 10s. It was just like, whoa, what in the world? The reason for the firing was because he signed a contract with another team in OEM. This is the time of year where that happens. Now, once again, if that Caden Honeycutt contract was to drive the 52 truck from Richmond through the rest of the season, okay, then obviously you got to let him go. You got to cut ties because, hey, he's got a contract over there. He broke our contract. But if it was simply like, I'm signing with Tricon for 2026, and they were like, oh, how dare you sign with a Toyota? Whoosh, rip up that contract. That's like, what? So I would like more details. If it was Caden Honeycutt signing with a Toyota team next week, that's one thing. But if it's like for next year, that's confusing. Brendan, for you, I will pull up the press statement. I'll give you a second. And then we got to get to our Monday picks. Nissan Motorsports, great. Semi-recently searched. Here you go. Here's the full statement. I'll give you a minute to read that, and then we got to get to our Monday picks. I mean, it says in 2026. That's what's even crazier. So, anywho. All right, let's make our Monday picks. Oh my God, speaking of the truck series, Nash Truck Night in America on Friday. We got a heater. Okay, before we get to that, I lied. Did anyone else watch the Bristol Baseball Classic? That was a fun game. It's unfortunate that it got rained out to Sunday, but dude, that was so cool to see baseball played at Bristol. I thought that was really fun. There were a couple home runs. There was a home run car. Like, everyone was really bought into the whole racing thing, like the checkered flag pattern on the hat, the racing flames, the racing stripes. Like, that was so cool. I know there's some logistical issues, like, at the track, but it was cool. Anyways, let's go on to our Monday picks. Monday picks, Truck Series, Xfinity, and Cup. We have oh my God, we have an all-timer. Guys, we have an all-timer entry list on the Truck Series. We have the significant entries, the notable entries for this race. We got Swalich in the 1 truck. Okay. We got Kyle Busch in the 07, Sammy Smith in the 7. Coming down the list, guys, we got Kyle Busch. That's a big one, right? All right, we'll get ready for Ross Chastain in the 44. There's another Cup guy. Connor Zilic in the 45. Christopher Bell in the 52. Chris Buescher making his Truck Series debut. God, this is crazy. Brent Cruz is going to be in this race. I mean, we have an absolute heater in the truck series this weekend. Let's make some Monday picks. I already got my pick made for this race. Gosh dang it says Chris Busher, Prosper, Texas Zone. Brendan says Connor. I'm assuming that means Connor Zilich. My bad mate says Matt Mills. Jokes on you. LOL says Connor Mozak. Hey, he's a decent road racer. Suarez fan 000 says Jack Wood. Born Again Briar says Spencer Boyd. Brennan Poole fan 44 says Zilich. Marty's going to go with Christopher Bell. Clausen Z is going to go with Corey Heim. Corey Heim, remember, he dominated that race at Lime Rock Park. Led all but one lap. So I know there's a lot of talk about Kyle Busch, Connor Zilich, Christopher Bell in this race, but Clausen Z playing it safe in the truck series might be actually the good choice this week. Sean's going to go with Heim. Gamer Gerite Sucks says Kyle Busch. Briar Alt YouTube said Kyle Busch, I believe. The message has now been deleted. Dude, in between the lanes is going to go with Kyle Busch. Here's the thing, though. Kyle Busch, I'm so tempted to pick him, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. He just hasn't seemed as on it. I don't know if it's a Spire thing, if it's a him thing. But outside of that Atlanta race, Kyle Busch just kind of hasn't shown it in terms of him winning and being really good in the trucks this year. And once again, that could be a truck problem. Brendan's going to go with Enfinger. Big MOOG is going to go with Gio. Big W is going to go with Ben Rhodes. But, dude, it's a road course. This guy's so darn good on the road courses. He beat Shane Van Gisbergen head-to-head. I can't bet against Connor Zilich. I think Christopher Bell could give him a hell of a fight. I think Kyle Busch could. I think, hell, if Chastain's up there, he could too. But Connor Zilich is so darn good at these road courses. And Connor Zilich, everyone hyped up the Larson triple. We cannot rule out Connor Zilich completing the triple this weekend. I think Saturday and Sunday are going to be really tough. He's got Shane Van Gisbergen head-to-head in both of those. But Connor Zilich loves Watkins Glen. He's in all three. We cannot rule out Connor Zilich completing the triple. I'm going to pick Zilich in the trucks. All right, Connor Zilich is my truck pick. Let's go to the Xfinity Series. Xfinity Series. Notable entries. Right off the bat, we got a heavy hitter. Shane Van Gisbergen in the number 9 JRM car. Michael McDowell in the Colleague Racing number 11 car. Two heavy hitters right off the bat in the Xfinity Series. Going down this list, we have Riley Herbst in the 19. Kaz Grala is in the 24. We got who's 125 years old. Is it lagging? That looks good on my end. All right. If more issues persist, obviously, we're almost done here, so I'll do my best. Stephen Parsons is in the 45 car. Austin J. Hill is in the 53, which, speaking of, we got to go back to the 21. Austin Hill is back on the entry list. He will be racing this week for the first time since Indianapolis when he intentionally wrecked someone. And then, yeah, that's it for the notable entries. So, let's see. Nikolai P. Colt fan says, gonna go with Ryan Ellis. Brendan's picking Austin Hill. Got it. I'm just kidding. I think Brendan was being sarcastic there. Clausen Z says SVG doesn't let Zilich win twice. So that's an SVG pick for Clausen Z. In between the lanes is going with SVG. Marty's going to go with Connor Zilich for Xfinity and specifies that this is Zilich's only win over the weekend. Sean P is going with SVG. Denver is going with SVG. Justy8056 is going with Parker Retzlaff. Hey, you never know. You never know. Denver, you were saying SVG times 2, so you mean Saturday and Sunday. Well, my bad. Briar Alt YouTube is going with Matt Benedetto. Well then. All right, so I picked Connor Zilic to win the trucks. I've brought up how we cannot rule out Connor Zilic completing the triple, winning all 3 races, becoming only the 2nd driver in history to do it. Well, I'm not picking him to win the Xfinity race. I think SVG's winning the Xfinity race. Part of me thinks there's some poetry here. SVG, who's kind of been mentored by Marcos Ambrose and this whole NASCAR thing, he's kind of used him as a reference point or as a resource. And look at that number that he's driving. He's driving the 9 car at Watkins Glen. Like, that would just be poetic if SVG wins the 9 car at Watkins Glen. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen wins the 9 car at Watkins Glen for Marcos Ambrose. So no Connor Zilic triple. Now it's time for the Cup Series. You'll see. All right, let's go through the notable entries. We have a full field this week. We got 40 cars in the field. So when we go to notable entries, first one, J.J. Yaley. Then we got Josh Bilicki in the 66. We got Connor Zilic in the 87. Connor Zilic is 2nd in the odds right now at plus 550. And then we got Catherine Legg in the 78. Guys. Shane Van Gisbergen, once again, is a heavy favorite. Shane Van Gisbergen is looking for redemption in this race. You got to remember that. After last year, what happened when he blew through the bus stop chicane, ended up losing this race. Marty says SVG by a mile this time. My bad mate says Daniel Suarez. Suarez has got a stage win at Watkins Glen. Brendan says McDowell and specifies after someone crashes out SVG. Cash.gg says Hocevar. Born Again Breyer says Gregson. Might be a fuel mileage race if that's the case. Sean says SVG. I think that's what that means. But, all right, anyone else? Come on, Monday picks. Let's hear it. Clausen Z says SVG dominates and wins at least one stage. Anyone else? Any other Monday picks? In Between the Lanes says either SVG or Bell. All right. I'm going to bring up something. In 2024, Shane Van Gisbergen won 3 consecutive road course races in the Xfinity Series. That 3 road course race win streak went into Watkins Glen. Connor Zilic snapped that 3 race win streak at Watkins Glen. Well, Shane Van Gisbergen is on a 3 race win streak heading in to Watkins Glen on the road courses. Connor Zilic is in this field. Connor Zilic, if he wins this race, he becomes the youngest winner in NASCAR Cup Series history. 19 years old. I don't even know. 17 days old. They are not racing for points. They're not racing for stage wins. That 87 team has nothing to lose. Shane, I told you guys that I am picking Shane Van Gisbergen at the road courses from now on. I'm giving him the Kyle Busch Truck Series treatment, which is I'm picking him till he proves me wrong. I have a gut feeling. I don't know how to describe it. I might be wrong. I'm probably going to be wrong. Shane Van Gisbergen will probably prove me wrong and make me look like an idiot. I'm going to go with Connor Zilic. I think Connor Zilic becomes the youngest winner in NASCAR Cup Series history this weekend. He had a lot of speed at COTA, but he never had the opportunity to prove it. Never had a chance. Got dumped on lap 1. Finally had competitive pace and gets wiped out. Once again, I don't know how to describe it. I'm probably going to be wrong, but Connor Zilic to win his first Cup Series race. So, in conclusion, on Friday I got Connor Zilic. On Sunday I got Connor Zilic. But on Saturday, to ruin the triple, I got Shane Van Gisbergen. I see a lot of other Monday picks. Progressive Luigi 100 picks Allmendinger. Norberto picks Zane Smith. A lot of people picking crazy people. Clausen Z says Hocevar hooks SVG for calling him a wanker. Yeah, that would be quite something, I guess. So, anywho. David's going to back me. Thank you, David. David's going to back me and pick Connor Zilic. How about that? Well, all right. It's late on this Monday. Sean says get SVG in a truck for the triple. I really thought that was going to happen. I thought they were going to try to get SVG in a truck to complete the triple at Watkins Glen, but oh well, they're not. Instead of Zilic. But as I said, guys, I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. Don't know how else to put it. So I'm going to start making community posts of my Monday picks because I make the Monday picks and then we just never talk about it again. So I'm going to make a community post. But yeah, I'll start making that a weekly thing. But Connor Zilic on Friday. Who did I pick on Saturday? Shane Van Gisbergen on Saturday. Connor Zilic on Sunday. Brendan, it is currently 9:22 p.m. here over in the US of A. I got to make the SVG recap. I've already talked about it, but I got to download the video, screen record, whatever you want to say. And then on top of that, I have to edit it, and then I have to post it. It has to go through the check. So, yeah, I got to get that done. But thank you guys for watching this video. Brendan, yes, Tuesday in Australia and New Zealand, but if it's Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, Monday night, Monday afternoon, if you're in Hawaii by any chance, thanks for watching this video or live stream, whatever we call it. I very much appreciate everyone being here. I very much appreciate the support. I'll get that SVG recap on to you guys coming up later tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow, starting tomorrow, we got our championship cases. Tuesday, Denny Hamlin. Wednesday, Kyle Larson. Thursday is going to be Christopher Bell. Friday, Shane Van Gisbergen. And then we will kind of reseed and see how everything goes, and then I'll announce the schedule for that heading into next week. So, Clausen Z, adios. Hope you guys all do well. Brendan, appreciate it. Can't believe that I have a bunch of viewership across the globe in Australia and New Zealand, but here we are. Denver, thank you. Born Again Breyer, almost said your last name, but thank you for being here. Thank you guys for the support. We will see you guys in the next one. I got to get on this SVG.